Purple rain, help me. Purple rain.
There was tension at the end of their time together, real tension that was obvious. It wasn't as warm and youthfully optimistic as it had been during the Purple Rain and Around the World in a Day, and even the parade times.
Prince and the Revolution were an iconic group that helped shape a whole era, but behind the scenes were secret feuds that most people didn't know about.
Mark did not get let go. He left on his own volition at that point. In fact, he had given Prince notice a year before the Purple Rain tour.
Oh, wow.
But nobody else knew this.
One big issue was Prince's control. He called all the shots, leaving the band with no creative freedom. The Revolution felt more like a backup than a real team.
The tension was growing stronger. Some folks were dissatisfied. Folks were working really, really hard, and they were dissatisfied.
But things only got worse. Another instance was during the Purple Rain era, when the band was left out of major decisions and creative work.
It was affecting him. It was making it harder, I think, for him to concentrate. And something had to be done. These tensions either needed to be resolved, or we need to go our separate ways. And ultimately, he decided to go in a separate direction from the Revolution.
As Prince moved towards solo projects, he started replacing members without warning, which caused even more tension. Add in rumors of substance abuse and personal tension, and it was only a matter of time before everything fell apart. Let's dive in. Prince was one of the biggest music stars in the world. He worked hard, and he wanted everything to be perfect. He had a band called The Revolution. They made great music together, but over time, things started to change. Prince wanted to stay in control of everything. He didn't want to share too much creative power with the band. This caused problems.
There was trouble in Paradise before this, so they had already, Wendy and Lisa kind of had enough in Minneapolis at one point, so I had to go to the airport to convince them. So
2 members of the band, Wendy Melvoin and Lisa Coleman, were very important. They didn't just play music, they also had ideas and helped create songs. But Prince often made the final choices. He wanted to be the one in charge. Wendy and Lisa felt they were not being heard enough. They wanted more freedom to share their ideas. This made them feel upset. Wendy said she had played in many of Prince's bands over the years. She watched him grow into a big star. But after he became very famous, he seemed to pull back. It was like he didn't want to work with a group anymore. The Revolution had been a big part of his life, but now he looked tired of it. Wendy said the band wasn't just backup. They had their own thoughts and spoke up often. Sometimes that was too much for Prince to deal with. Wendy remembered their last show in Yokohama, Japan. That night felt strange. While they were performing, Prince started calling random people from the crowd up on stage. He had never done that before. Wendy and Lisa looked at each other. They saw he wasn't looking at them. They felt something was wrong. When he played Purple Rain, he smashed his guitar harder than ever. Wendy turned to Lisa and said, "It's over." She knew the band was finished after that moment.
And then we played Purple Rain, and he destroyed the guitar.
more than one.
He destroyed it. And I looked at Bobby, and I went,
It's over.
it's over.
Even before the Japan show, there were signs of trouble. Wendy and Lisa were tired. They didn't feel happy anymore. At one point, they even thought about leaving when they were still back in Minneapolis. Someone had to go to the airport to talk them into staying. Prince knew the band needed to go on tour in Japan. So, they all tried to stick together. But deep down, everyone knew things were falling apart. Wendy said Prince had a hard time letting people go. He wanted everything done his way. One of the bandmates had already left the year before the parade tour.
Mark did not get let go. He left on his own volition at that point. In fact, he had given Prince notice a year before the Purple Rain tour.
Oh, wow.
But nobody else knew this.
But he couldn't tell anyone because he was under a contract. He had to keep quiet. He felt that things were changing too fast. It didn't feel right anymore. So he decided to leave and just moved on without making noise about it.
There was tension at the end of their time together, real tension that was obvious. It wasn't as warm and youthfully optimistic as it had been during the Purple Rain and Around the World in a Day, and even the parade times.
Tension grew inside the group. People began to argue. Prince also had a strong vision for how things should look and sound.
And the tension was growing stronger. Some folks were dissatisfied. Folks were working really, really hard, and they were dissatisfied.
He wanted his band to do more than just play music. He made them take dance lessons. One of the band members remembered doing Broadway-style dances with a choreographer. He tried hard to keep up, even though it was tough. During the 1999 tour, Prince sent people to ride on the tour bus with the band. These people watched everything. They listened to how the band joked, how they acted, and even how they spoke. It felt strange, like they were always being watched.
On our 1999 tour, we had people observing us on the bus. All of a sudden, there were strangers on the bus, like getting jokes and learning our personality. And, it was like a big brother kind of a shadowing thing.
Prince was always serious about his work. He didn't just care about playing music. He cared about every little detail. How someone stood, how they moved, and how they looked on stage. One band member once said that before he even got to play guitar, Prince made him stand in front of a mirror in the living room for 8 hours. Prince told him where to put his feet, how to stand straight, and even how to tilt his head. It felt strange and uncomfortable. When Prince released the song, Darling Nikki, it caused a lot of talk.
Darling Nikki was a big talking point. I don't think he paid attention to whether or not Tipper Gore thought his lyrics were salacious or wrong for kids.
She helped him sell a lot of records.
Exactly.
People said the lyrics were too sexual. Some people didn't like it, and Tipper Gore even tried to ban it. But Prince didn't let that bother him. He didn't write songs to make people happy or to follow rules. He wrote songs that showed how he felt inside. Later in life, he may have stopped writing songs like Darling Nikki, but he never hated it. He actually loved that song. It was part of who he was, and he stood by it.
This is only my intuition, but I think he just grew away from wanting to explore that side of himself and didn't sing about it anymore.
Some of Prince's lyrics made people ask questions. One line said, "Is the water warm enough?" This line made some people wonder if Prince was gay or trying to send a message. But the truth is, Prince liked mystery. He liked making people think. He didn't always explain his songs. Sometimes he asked one of the women in the band to say lines like, "Do you want to get in the bathtub with me, Lisa? Are we lovers?" At the time, she didn't understand why he wanted that. But later, she saw that Prince was building a fantasy world. He mixed music with imagination.
Is the water warm enough? What does that mean?
Are you gay? That's what it meant. Do you want to get in the bathtub with me, Lisa? Or are we lovers? I think that,
Prince once asked Wendy, a former band member, to join his new band called the New Power Generation. Wendy had already left the Revolution and thought, "Didn't I just quit?" But deep down, she knew that what they had with Prince was special. Prince even called her and the others Mount Rushmore, meaning they were like legends to him. This showed how much he respected and loved them. Even after they left,
It was affecting him. It was making it harder, I think, for him to concentrate. And something had to be done. These tensions either needed to be resolved or we need to go our separate ways. And ultimately, he decided to go in a separate direction from the revolution.
the band went through a lot together. They played music, went on tours, and even made a movie. Wendy said it felt like they had gone to the moon. That meant it was something so big, so rare, and so powerful that it changed their lives. They did something very few people ever get to do. And even though they later went different ways, the memories stayed. What they had was strong, and it stayed in their hearts forever. In the 1980s, Bobby Z was the drummer for Prince's band, The Revolution. He had a big problem with alcohol and other drugs during that time. The music world was fast and wild, and Bobby got caught up in it. His drinking and drug use started to affect his work. He didn't always show up at his best, and that hurt his place in the band. After some time, Bobby realized he needed help. He decided to go to treatment. It was not easy, but he got clean and sober. While Wendy Melvoin, on the other hand, played the guitar in The Revolution. She didn't have a big problem with drugs, but the life of being in the band was hard for her. She was very young and felt a lot of stress. The long tours, loud shows, and working with Prince made her feel very tired and emotional. She said that it was not easy to stay balanced. Even though she didn't use a lot of drugs, the wild lifestyle around her made things difficult. Wendy had to stay strong while everything around her was moving fast. She talked about these hard times later in interviews. She explained how it felt to be under so much pressure every day. And then we have Lisa Coleman, who played the keyboards in the band. Like Wendy, Lisa didn't have a big problem with drugs, but the pressure from Prince and the tough schedule affected her in other ways. She had a hard time handling the stress. She also felt unhappy when there were problems while making music. Lisa cared a lot about the band, but sometimes she and Prince didn't agree on things. These fights and the fast pace of the band caused her emotional pain. Matt Dr. Fink was also a keyboard player in The Revolution. There are no big stories about Matt using drugs, but he was still part of the same wild music scene as the others. He saw the fast life, the pressure, and the problems around him. Even if he stayed away from heavy drug use, he had to deal with being in a high-stress group. Life on the road and in the studio was never quiet. It was always busy, and that could wear someone down. Matt stayed focused and kept his head down through those years.
At that time, he said, I'm letting Wendy and Lisa and Bobby go right now. I would understand if you wanted to leave, but I don't want you to leave, and I'm giving you the choice of staying or going at this point.
Desiree Dizzy Hines was a backup singer for The Revolution. She was only with the band for a short time. During that time, she had some trouble with drugs. It didn't become a big story in public, but it happened. Like others, she had to deal with the hard life that came with being in Prince's band. It was not easy to stay calm or safe in that kind of world. Now, let's change gears and talk about Prince's solo career. After he left The Revolution, he went on to work with Sheila E.
For the Sign of the Times album, he was transitioning from The Revolution to Sheila E. and her band. Sheila and her band were from Oakland. And Oakland has a specific East Bay, Tower of Power, heavily Latin-influenced style of funk.
He already knew her well. They had worked together before, and he trusted her. Her band also had great musicians. So instead of starting over with strangers, Prince kept working with people he already knew. It made things easier for him. He didn't want to waste time training a whole new group. With Sheila and her band, he could keep moving forward without slowing down. But Sheila's band was different from The Revolution. That meant the music had to sound different too. The Revolution had a style that worked well for live shows. Sheila's band had another style, so Prince had to change how he wrote songs. He had to change how he performed. This was not easy. It added pressure. He had to make sure the new music still touched people's hearts, even with a different sound. In 1985, Prince started a project called The Flesh. It included Sheila, Wendy, Lisa, Eric Leeds, and Levi. Some people thought this project was Prince's way of testing things. Maybe he was trying to see who he wanted to work with next. Within a year, Wendy and Lisa were gone. Sheila, Eric, and Levi stayed. That's why many people saw The Flesh as a turning point. It was when things started to change for real. Prince's childhood may have helped explain why he made changes so often. He didn't grow up with a lot of love or safety. That made him feel like good things wouldn't last. So, before someone left him or things went wrong, he often pulled away first. It was his way of protecting himself. This could be why he changed his bands so many times. He didn't want to be surprised or hurt.
Prince, coming from the childhood background that he had a mistrust of stability and a mistrust of love and friendship.
In 1992, after his album Diamonds and Pearls did really well, Prince made a new deal with Warner Brothers Records. The deal was very big. People said it was worth $100 million. He agreed to make 6 more albums for them. That same year, he released his 14th studio album. It was his second album with his new band, The New Power Generation. The album cover didn't have a normal name. Instead, it had a strange symbol that looked like a mix of the male and female signs. People later called it the Love Symbol Album. Before the album came out, Prince released 2 songs from it. One was called Sexy MF.
All alone in the villa on the Riviera. Got some friends on the south side in case you cared. Out of all of you.
And the other was My Name is Prince.
My name is Prince, and I am funky.
These songs didn't do great on the music charts, but one song from the album called 7 became more popular.
And in the distance, an army's marching feet.
It reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The album itself reached number 5 on the Billboard 200 chart. It sold about 2.8 million copies around the world. Even though this sounds like a lot, the sales were not as high as people had hoped. In 1993, Prince had a problem with Warner Bros. He had made a lot of music, but Warner Bros. Didn't want to release it all at once. They wanted to take their time. Prince didn't like that. So, he changed his name to the same symbol from his album cover. People didn't know how to say the symbol, so they started calling him the artist formerly known as Prince, or just the artist. To help people type the symbol, Warner Brothers even sent floppy disks to the media with a special font for it. In 1994, Warner Brothers allowed Prince to release a song called The Most Beautiful Girl in the World through a small record company named Bellmark.
Could you be the most beautiful?
The song became a big hit. It reached number 3 on the US Billboard chart and was number 1 in many other countries. After that, Prince started releasing music very fast. He wanted to finish his contract with Warner Brothers as soon as he could. He even released an old album called The Black Album that had been stopped years before. Prince also wanted to release 2 new albums at the same time, Come and The Gold Experience. Warner Brothers said yes to both, but they delayed The Gold Experience because they thought it was too much music at once. Prince got angry and started writing the word slave on his face in public to show how he felt. This completed his contract. Even though The Vault was not released until 1999, Warner Brothers let Prince go because he had given them all the albums he promised. Finally, Prince was free from his deal and could control his own music again.
Prince, huge fan, sir. Prince, love it, brother. That's all.
Sadly, on April 7th, 2016, Prince went to see a doctor named Michael T. Schulenberg. He was a family doctor in Excelsior, Minnesota. Prince wasn't feeling well. That same day, Prince postponed 2 concerts at the Fox Theater. He was on his piano and a microphone tour. People were told he had the flu. Later, he rescheduled and did the show on April 14th, even though he was still sick. He didn't want to disappoint his fans. After the concert, he got on a private jet to fly home. But something went wrong. Early in the morning on April 15th, he became unresponsive on the plane. The pilot had to land quickly at the Quad Cities Airport in Moline, Illinois. Prince was rushed to the hospital. Doctors gave him a drug called naloxone, which helps people who overdosed on opioids. He woke up but decided to leave the hospital. Even though the doctors told him to stay, His team said Prince was just tired and had the flu for a few weeks. The next day, people saw Prince riding a bike around his hometown of Chanhassen. He also visited a store called the Electric Fetus in Minneapolis to shop for Record Store Day. That night, he showed up at a dance party at his studio, Paisley Park. He told fans not to worry and said he was feeling fine. On April 19th, he went to a concert at the Dakota Jazz Club. He watched singer Liz Wright perform. People thought he was doing better, but behind the scenes, his team was worried. On April 20th, Prince's people reached out to a doctor in California named Howard Kornfeld. He helped people who were addicted to pain medicine. They wanted him to help Prince. Dr. Kornfeld couldn't come right away, so he made a plan to visit on April 22nd. But first, he called a local doctor in Minnesota and asked him to check on Prince the next day, April 21st. On the morning of April 21st, at 9:43 a.m., someone called 911 from Prince's home, Paisley Park. The person on the phone first said someone was unconscious. Then, he said the person had died. Finally, he said it was Prince. The caller was Dr. Kornfeld's son. He had flown to Minnesota that morning and brought a medicine called buprenorphine. That drug helps people get off opioids. He was there to help start Prince's treatment. When emergency workers arrived, they found Prince on the floor of an elevator. He wasn't breathing. They tried CPR but could not bring him back. A paramedic said Prince had already been dead for at least 6 hours. They said he died at 10:07 a.m.
Good day. We are coming on the air with breaking news about the death of an American music icon. Prince, the innovative, one-of-a-kind artist who's given us so much great music over the decades, has been found dead.
There were no signs that Prince hurt himself or that someone else did it. The medical office released a statement on June 2nd. It said Prince had died from taking too much fentanyl. It was an accident. He was 57 years old. Fentanyl is a very strong painkiller. Prince thought he was taking another drug called hydrocodone, but the pills were fake. They looked like normal medicine, but they had fentanyl inside.
The Purple Rain singer, whose full name is Prince Rogers Nelson, was 57.
The police and other law offices wanted to find out where Prince got those pills. They started a full investigation. They searched his house and even looked into a Walgreens pharmacy nearby. The case lasted for 2 years. On April 19, 2018, the Carver County attorney said the case was closed. No one would be charged. Even though no one was arrested, they did learn something important. Prince had been struggling with opioid addiction. After Prince passed away, doctors did an autopsy. They checked his body to find out how he died. After the autopsy, his body was cremated. On April 26, 2016, his sister, Tyka Nelson, filed papers in court. She said there was no will. That means Prince didn't leave behind any legal papers about who should get his money or property. Prince wasn't married at the time and didn't have any known children. According to Minnesota law, his sister and 5 half-siblings could claim the estate. After his death, about 700 people said they were related to Prince. They wanted part of his estate. The court gave temporary control of his money and property to Bremer Trust. The trust even had to drill open his vault at Paisley Park. They also took a blood sample to help with DNA tests. They wanted to know for sure who was truly related to Prince. After Prince passed, many people around the world were very sad. Many musicians and famous people shared how much Prince meant to them. Even President Obama made a public statement. He said Prince was a great musician and a cultural icon. The U.S. Senate also honored him with a special resolution. Cities all over America held vigils and played his music. Bridges, buildings, and other places were lit up in purple to honor him. On the day of his death, Prince was the #1 topic on Twitter. There were 61 million interactions about him on Facebook. MTV stopped its regular shows and played Prince's music videos and his movie Purple Rain.
Oh, in a purple rain, help me, purple rain.
Some theaters even showed the movie again for 1 week. The TV show Saturday Night Live aired a special tribute. They called it Goodnight Sweet Prince and showed clips of his past performances.
Prince sold more than 100 million records, won 7 Grammys, a Golden Globe, and an Academy Award, with hits like Little Red Corvette, Purple Rain, Kiss, and When Doves Cry. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the very first year he was eligible.
The New Yorker magazine honored Prince with a cover that showed Purple Rain. Vanity Fair released a special magazine about Prince called The Genius of Prince. It included new photos, old articles, and a piece from 1984 when Prince first became very famous. The cover had a painting of Prince by artist Andy Warhol. Later in 2016, Prince was added to the Rhythm and Blues Music Hall of Fame. Even though he was gone, people continued to remember him, play his music, and talk about the impact he had on the world. Prince wasn't just a singer. He was a symbol of talent, hard work, and being true to yourself.